Oh, but he's on his phone doing this.
So I texted him.
Okay, well, we're gonna start. Special city council meeting for April 11th, 2025 is now called to order. Are there any conflicts of interest to be declared?
No.
No. All right, anyone making a written or oral public comment? Wishing to address the city council concerning items of interest not on the agenda may do so at this time. All remarks will be limited to 5 minutes per person. Requests to comment electronically must be submitted by email to the city recorder at info@cityofgearhart.com no later than 4 p.m. the day of the meeting. In-person attendees wishing to speak are required to sign in prior to the meeting. We have no sign-ins. Do we have any electronics?
I'm working with Peter here. He's having a hard time getting his the Zoom to work. Everybody else is connected and he's gonna go out and come back in. We have no electronic feedback for this meeting, no.
Okay. We'll give Peter just a minute to get online here.
We do have Chief Como, Chief Josh Gregory on. We got Mark McFadden and Public Works in the back as well. Hard to believe 4 years ago I didn't know what Zoom was. Things have changed.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna wait that so much.
Okay.
All right, we're going on to new business. It's the public safety building planning next steps. Chad, do you want to give us a rundown on what's going on here?
Okay, well, the meeting was called by councilors Dan and Preston to discuss the city council meeting and the cost group and FFA. And I believe Miss Dana was going to start having the discussion. You want to open this up?
Well, first of all, thank you.
That's
Thank you guys for agreeing on such short notice, but I thought that after our last meeting, it was important. The questions I've been receiving from the public are, you know, is there still even a project? What does this mean? And I don't like not being able to tell people what this means or that we are, but we're not working on it or how we're working on it. So I felt that it was important that we at least have a little bit of a conversation to determine what we're going to do, whether this project is still viable, whether we're, you know, and how we're going to move forward. Identify tasks that may still need to be done. And although we may not have all of the answers, at least come to some kind of resolution about what needs to be done still and who's going to work on the project. I think that we need to do this in a transparent manner since the, you know, at the last meeting, we left it with, so, you know, okay, so we're not going to pay Clash Group. What are we going to do? How are we, do we need those services? Do we not need those services? And how are we, you know, going to move forward? And I don't mean we're not going to pay the Clash Group. We're not going to approve the change order.
Right, okay, thank you for clarifying that because
And I thought you
there's,
said pick the cluster.
No, I said at the last meeting we had, and we voted as a council not to approve the change order. So, but what we didn't at that meeting discuss was what solutions or how are we going to fill the service gaps that may or may not be created, or will there be service gaps because of that failure to pay the change order? So I think that this project is important. I'm still 1000% behind it. I'll be happy to give my reasons later. But I think maybe Chad, if you want to discuss some of the tasks that have been identified moving forward that and who may or may not be filling.
Sure. The document I'm gonna go over, what I did is I went through the scope for both Klosh Group and FFA, our architect, and broke their proposals down into small, easy, you have them, easy to bite chunks about what the roles, and this is right off of the two proposals that we approved as a council and that we reviewed when we were going through, what the roles of the individual groups are. So I'm just going to take you through this. The highlighted areas are the ones that are still, some things that we need to do. So the Klosh Group and FFA will collaborate closely, bringing the distinct responsibilities. So Klosh Group, as a project manager, was going to lead the overall project coordination and management. Facilitate communication between city staff, architects, and contractors. Oversee project timelines, scheduling, and budgeting. Organizing our meetings, preparing agendas and minutes to ensure our tasks are completed. Managing environmental assessments, historic preservation, compliance, and site readiness. That's still some of that would need to be done moving forward, but it's pretty well been completed by just the oversight or what they've already seen of our site. And what's remaining for them is guiding the financing and budgeting decisions, assisting the city with efficient resource allocation, which is going over the cost estimates when we receive them. Reviewing invoices, deliverables, documentation, ensuring quality control and efficient decision making. And that's right out of their proposal that we approved. FFA architect, now one of the big projects for Klosh Group to do was to help us find the architect group. And they did that. And we had the committee that helped us through that. So FFAs, under their proposal, they're going to lead the architectural design, site analysis, and facility evaluations, and they've done that. Develops and presents concepts, designs for multiple site options. Conducts community engagement through structured public meetings to gather and incorporate feedback. Prepares structural and civil assessments, tsunami evaluations, and site infrastructure analysis. And what they've got left to do is on this page and the one after here, providing preliminary cost estimates and cost benefit analysis matrix for proposed design options. We're still in the phase where we're working on that. Offering detailed architectural and structural designs for community evaluation and council updates. We're awaiting that. And supports the city council in finalizing the recommendations, particularly in preparation for a bond measure vote. So together, Klosh Group is orchestrating the project's administrative and logistical aspects, enabling FFA to focus on the community engagement, architectural design, and technical evaluations. Both collaborate in community outreach, ensuring public input is effectively incorporated into the design. And then regular joint updates for the city council to ensure transparency and alignment across all stakeholders. So as a committee, that's what we've been working on, is getting information from the staff, from public works, police, fire, and administrative staff to discuss where it is that we're at, what we have now, what it is that we want, start working on basic designs and get us through a process of these town halls. And we've had 3 town halls so far, with 1 pending. And that is the May town hall that's upcoming, where they're going to present to us and the community the pricing for the upcoming ideas that we've got, the 2 scenarios that we've chosen. So that's really the roles of these 2 groups. What we have is that the Klosh Group has submitted the change order that we discussed last week, and that they are over in their in the amount of work they've done. And some of that is due to the city. We added an additional meeting at the beginning. We've done some things in the meantime where we've had additional meetings within the city because Gerhardt's way is to get more information, to try to We've collaborated a few more extra times. We brought in the building official in a meeting or 2 with them as well. So we've had some additional work that we've had them do because of what this project is to Gearhart and how it is that we do our collaboration in our work. So Klosh Group is going to be over, and we have that request for them for the additional monies to finish the project through them, which gets us through May, which gets us through that period of time to where the council can make a decision with the community's assistance on whether or not we actually move forward with the future vote. FFA is on time and on budget. Also noting that they have a $25,000 contingency in there, which in hindsight, maybe we should have had the Klosh Group as well, but they have a $25,000 contingency already in the amount that we approved with FFA. And we've only dipped into that a little bit for some of the big posters and those sorts of things that we needed during the community meetings. And they have some ideas of how to potentially help us moving forward as well, with some budgetary items that they think that would be really good for the community and for the city on spending most, if not all, of that contingency moving forward, but we're not quite there yet. What I need to do is, because in the last week I've been out of town, Klosh is out of town, FFA is not, they're still at their desks, is really collaborate with them to move forward on exactly what it is that we need to finish this project. But we're close, and we're getting down to a place that they both anticipated we would be at this time. Just getting to that last final piece with their assistance on whether or not we want to move forward with the Klosh Group. And I'm not asking about this today. I think I still need to get some more information from both of these groups, but whether or not we move forward with the change order with the Klosh Group, or we lean a little bit more on FFA to help finish this project through their contingency funds. So that's where we're at today. Now, also on the final page, with Miss Justine's help, there is a spreadsheet of exactly where we are with Klosh Group. And the invoices that we received from them. We have a contract value of $58,000, we spent $54,000, with a remainder of about $3,500 as of 3/31. But we've also had a few things, is this all off of the?
These are just us estimating.
Okay, so this does not include their last, this wasn't the amount for their last invoice?
No, this was their last invoice for
Okay.
March that we haven't paid.
Gotcha.
But that was through 3/31, because they bill 1 month.
So we invited them to the city council meeting week before last. And we've got a work group meeting coming up. And we have some cost estimation work for them to do as well. Not sure the cost estimate.
Is that on your list?
23. Yeah, I'm on the very bottom of that list.
Okay.
Scheduled meetings in April.
Those were just meetings that we had, we were not able to communicate with Klosh on whether or not how long those were. We just estimated out what we thought they might spend.
That's
Okay.
your best projection.
Exactly.
So a couple of things that I wanna, while you're talking about money, I wanna make clear. Is that, when we go into the quiet period or if we go into the quiet period, is a better way of phrasing. Should we decide to proceed with this project, if we go into a quiet period, if we put the measure on the ballot, come April, neither Klosh nor FFA will be able to do work related to this, public work related to this. They won't be able to be involved in town halls. I know
Come
you're.
August.
I'm sorry, did I
We're
say
in
it? Come
April.
August.
Yeah.
Come August, once we submit, measure the information for the voters pamphlet, we go into what's known as a quiet period.
Correct.
The city cannot pay any of its employees or contractors or anybody else to do anything. So should we decide we're going to go forward Come August, there's a quiet period, so so what we shouldn't be thinking is, how many more months of work do we need? It's exactly what is it left that we need from these folks? And what do we feel is important for them to do to get us to our goal? The other thing we need to know is that every time somebody calls them, they bill us for that. So let's say hypothetically, Preston called them and talked to them, they would bill us for that. Then if you called them and asked them the same question, they would bill us for that. If the mayor called and said, hey, I want to know how much it would cost to have all of this done until November, they're going to bill us for that also. So I feel it's important that we as a group decide what questions we want to ask them, what tasks we want to establish, we want somebody to ask them, and that we choose one point of contact for them so they don't get duplicate questions, so that there's no mixed messaging going on, and that we're only billed once to get the information that we want to get, if there is any more information that we want to get. Does that make sense?
May I?
Yeah.
If I had any questions, I would never pick up the phone and call Klosh Group. I would talk to Chad.
Good.
He's the point person for the
Right.
project.
I
Correct.
1000% agree.
I think that's why I was putting this together, just to clarify what it is that we have left and what direction we're headed.
I did write in on their cost estimates on the to be done, because I didn't see those words jumping out at me. It said review invoices, deliverables and documentation, ensuring quality control, and maybe that's what that means. Quality control, it's a double check what the architects are doing, but I added in there just for my own, because we know that is a task we want them to do. In my
It has not been completed, and as you see, we're essentially out of money on that contract.
Now, it should also be noted that I think, as you said, we don't want to spend the contingency, but we do have a contingency still left under the FFA contract. That money will be returned to us if we do not use up all of that contingency. And I don't think right now we're on track to use up all of that. So some of that money will be coming back. So also keep that in your, when you're making your decision, keep that in the back of your mind.
I have a list of things when it's appropriate to talk about in regards to FFA on how they think that they could use that money moving forward that would assist the city
Okay.
when we're ready for that portion of the conversation.
Does anybody have any more questions on what we've talked about so far?
Well, I don't really have any questions with regard to between now and May. But May to August,
Right.
that would be a question in terms
What are
of,
we going to do?
yeah,
Okay.
what's gonna happen then?
I can go over what they are proposing, but this is a draft.
Is that FFA?
This is FFA.
Okay.
And this is a draft, and I've only discussed it with them 2 days ago, Wednesday, and had a short conversation with them, but I haven't had the chance to talk to Klosh about this yet. But so this is from John with FFA. With that contingency fund, so there's essentially a remaining of 16,193 in the contingency fund after other things that have gone in into that. So they're proposing in April and May that we continue with community engagement. This is about $2,400 in value. Provide project updates in April via the website and the blog. They're assisting us with that. They have the technical expertise to do so. Building excitement for the upcoming community meeting on Monday, May 19th. They want to push that hard, and so do we. Also, easy for our marketing team to help create press release, postcards to be distributed at community events. We've included a couple of hours to help with those miscellaneous efforts. So that would be about $2,400 worth, and that's in April and May. Because really, the whole purpose of this is to get us to the pricing. So that, and to do it through the community involvement. So April and May would help get us through into that a little bit better. Then June and July would be the design summary portion of things. Continually updating the website with outcomes and results from the design process. Create a report summarizing the process and project details. Create a summary outlining how the process has been different than previous bond attempts and how community engagement has led to fiscally responsible decisions, right? I mean, we've done this through the public has helped us design it. The staff has, including Mark and Josh have helped value to try to engineer this to be as small as possible. They would also provide linking to reporting and executive summary on the website, and then writing materials for the voter's guide to help move forward.
That's FFA.
And that's FFA through June and July. They put another portion down here, which isn't quite correct because they're calling this August, September, and October, where they can assist us with the bond campaign, but they can't because we're gonna be into August at that point. But what they would like to do is look at the potential, whether that be another town hall in July, to discuss what questions they have, the things that have come up between the time that we present in May into July, to give people time to think about it and to come at the city with questions, concerns. So potentially another town hall, and then also potentially maybe some sort of a survey project. So that we can survey folks after the May meeting, get into July, do some surveying, and then the council has everything that they pretty well would want to help make that decision on whether or not they're going to move forward with the project. You may or may not have some surveying, may or may not have another town hall, but they would help us communicate what it is that we've learned and what we've come up with and how we've got here from May until August deadline, when we just haven't then stop. And then it's up to the community.
If we were to do a town hall with them, I personally, my 2 cents would be, I would want to do it no later than July, because I do not want to muddy the waters or give anybody a reason to say that we did anything inappropriate, because even it's very hard to answer questions about a project and not demonstrate some type of bias, especially if you are the designers that very much want that project to go forward. So I think that if we were to involve them in a town hall after August, it would be doing ourselves and the community a disservice. It could expose us to risk. July would be okay. Anything after August, we can do ourselves without you all involved. We could have as many town halls as we want, but I would strongly recommend that we not involve the city in that, even if it's question and answers, because it's just such a slippery slope.
We did that in July. It would give us an opportunity to hear again from the community, to understand what it is that their concerns are, and give us an opportunity to respond as well. And staying away from August would be a great idea on this, right? Give us some flexibility, a little buffer, if you will.
So getting back to what we need from Klosh Group, I mean, I think that they've done a phenomenal job and already shown their value to us by realigning our proposed schedule and making, pointing out to us where we were not being realistic in our expectations.
In what way were we not realistic? Are you talking about the timeline for
Yeah,
getting an
about how
architect?
fast we thought we could get through the architect and get through all of the public engagement and everything else. But what I personally, since they will really can't do anything going on further, there's only a couple of tasks. I personally would like to see a second set of eyes, somebody with some knowledge and expertise looking at our numbers, because right now in this economic environment, with maybe there'll be tariffs, maybe there won't. I think that this is going to be something that we want as much information as we can get, and we want more eyes on this rather than less. And again, I told you, in the last meeting, I want to walk back a little bit of what I said. I don't want to undervalue the importance of the cost estimators that the folks that FFA are going to use. But I think that still it's important. The last time we went out for a bond, it was right after the Russian-Ukraine thing popped off and all of the prices started going up, and there was a real economic crisis and everybody was really worried about the future at that point. And we are again going into something like that again, with people not knowing what's going to happen with the economy. And sometimes figuring this stuff out is tricky. And so I personally would like to know exactly how much they would charge us, they being FFA would charge us to put a second set of eyes on the cost estimates. If they do nothing else other than that, that I see as a value to us.
So you're asking FFA, after they get their contractor to do the estimate, to get another set of eyes?
No, Closh, I meant Closh, did I say FFA?
Yes.
I apologize.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And what we did with the last vote was we had the architectural basic design. We had a cost estimator give us the estimations. And that was also during the COVID period of time when costs were going through the roof, along with everything else. And so there was a lot of worry that we didn't know how this was going to turn out. So we got one estimation done, and then we actually hired a second estimation company using the same information, but they didn't get a chance to see the first estimation. And those estimations came out very, very close. But then we weren't satisfied with that as a city. And we said, before we take this to the public, what we need to do is add a contingency to the entire project. That contingency is large, it's 20%, because we didn't know. I feel as though we're going into the same exact scenario with tariffs, with that sort of information. So the value in having FFA, which is doing a really good job, the architects, then they hire the cost estimation group. Cost estimation group puts together the cost estimation based on FFA's designs, basic designs. And then the goal was to have Koch Group take a look at those estimations as the third eye in this. And that's what part of their fee proposal was for their change order, was to do some of that as well.
There's no indication on the change order what they were going to do. It was just a request for $9,880 to go to the end of May. There was nothing that I saw that specifically stated what they were going to do. And now if I'm wrong, I don't think I am, but the change order.
You're not, no, I don't think you're wrong, and I don't think that that was communicated very well.
No, that's a
The closest thing to the change order was this change order includes hours required for attendance of additional site visits, whatever. Town hall community engagement, background information, increases in reimbursables.
Yeah, it's an incomplete change order. I could not in good conscience even consider talking about that and paying that until I get an itemized form.
Yeah,
It's
and
just-
and that's what I haven't had the chance to get from them as of yet.
Yeah,
Should have had that at the beginning one. There's a hint upon it, but no, it's not solid. So you're right.
well, it's a bit. I've done business and I've done change orders, and you don't go to your client and go, I need another $1 million to finish this project. You know, you got to show some reason why you need that. And if it's something you've already spent money on, then you have to itemize what you've spent the money on. And if it's something you're going to spend money on, it's awful gosh darn convenient to have something that's $4,900 for each month. If you split it in half, I mean, you gotta have some reason why you're going with that. So that's all I need to say about this change order. It's a dead subject until I see some documentation from them, because I can't do it. It's not something I would do as a contractor, and it's not something I would do as a mayor.
Nobody's asking to revote on the change order. The vote happened. What we're asking now is, okay, what are we going to pay for? Are we going to pay for anything? And what is it that we want? Do we want them to tell us what we need, or do we want to tell them what we think we need still going forward?
Well, I'd like to have a little conference with FFA and see what they feel we need. I'm not sure that we've got the expertise where we can go along and highlight a couple of things out of their proposal and say, this is what we need from them. We need some guidance, and if the Klosh group wants to come in and say, this is what we are saying we'll do for you through the end of May. You know, I can entertain that kind of thinking, but
This is the whole reason we hired the Klosh Group, is to be our representatives. I can tell you, being in business in the construction industry, the architects are always optimistic about what their designs cost,
sure they are.
okay? An owner's representative is gonna look at those, somebody that's in the business is gonna look at those and tell us whether or not they're in line or whether they're not in line,
Right?
okay? And that's the reason why we hired the Klosh Group,
Okay,
okay? They were our owner's representative,
that's right.
okay?
Well, but to build off of what you were saying, so you would like to sit down with them. We as a council need to decide, just for the reasons I gave earlier, is who is going to sit down with them? Are you going to be our council representative? Is that what we're all, you know?
No, I want the whole council sitting down with them. I want everyone to have a chance to
Okay,
ask their questions, get the input from them. I want a work session. I wanted an executive session and a work session next Friday, but I was told I can't do that because it's Easter before the Sunday after that. And nobody wants to do that before is that Good Friday?
yeah.
Absolutely not. I'm wrong. So it'd have to be the 25th or whatever it is, the following Friday. This is what I was told today, about 45 minutes ago. You're absolutely wrong. You're not doing that. So, but that's what I want. I want the full council involved in this, and I want them to be able to say, what do you mean by that? You know, what are you going to do that's going to make me want to say, yes, I'll pay that.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's, you know, my personal feeling, and that's all I've got.
I don't have a problem with that. Just remember that could cost us $500 to $1,000 for them to attend that meeting. I'm not saying we won't do it. I'm just saying you've got to remember that each time we have that, we do that. Each time they come in, that's the reason why we're having the discussions that we're having now. So
That's why they were running over their budget every month from the second month into their project. They never came to us with a change order saying, these meetings are going more and it's gonna cost you more, and this is what, you know, back in May, back in June, they could have come out with change orders saying, well, we're having all these extra meetings and we're spending extra time. That's the way you do a change order. You do it immediately, not at the end of the project. And when you come in and say, I want $10,000 more to do the same thing I have already said I would do for $58,000. But that's great. And I understand I incurred costs on behalf of the city by requesting 2 meetings, one to introduce the Klosh Group in August and the other one in December, so that people would see that they are doing something, because we were going to have a blank slate until 25. And I couldn't abide by that. You know, we say we're going to hire these people and they don't put a face to their group, and we had to have it.
Carrie, we have a lot of things to talk about, but that vote is done. You said no. 3 people on the council said no. That's the way that the process works. You voted no.
Yes.
I didn't ask for this meeting to revisit that vote or to get you to defend your decision. I'm hoping that we'll come to some kind of a direction going forward. So are we going to have does the council want to have a work committee going forward Or do we want to do what you said and have one meeting where everybody talks to them? The council just needs to decide that.
Yeah,
Well, I don't wanna, I just wanna speak for a few minutes. I had to vote no because I didn't have enough information and I needed to do my due diligence, which I feel like I did. First thing I did was come to Justine and get a copy of these records and looked at the details of the bills that we've been paying for the last 8 or 9 months. I talked to some of the people in the audience, talked to Dana, Carrie, to get perspectives on the history. We weren't looking forward, we were looking at the history, part of which I was not a part of, particularly last year, up until I think I went to both of the town halls. But they were over budget somewhat, it looks like to me, just by the invoices in September and October. I believe that was about the time that they were helping us with the selection process for the architects. And 2 people that I talked to, I also talked to Chief Como, gave them very high ratings for what they did. I don't know the people in the Klosh group. I haven't sat through a lot of meetings, a couple of council meetings, yes. But I had to have the time to feel better about what we were being asked to do. My recommendation would be to go ahead and approve some amount for Klosh Group to finish up the work through May. The most important thing to me is the cost estimation. They've already participated in the April council meeting, and there's a work group scheduled. Whether or not we need more of these work groups, I don't know. But we could say, well, maybe we do. Costs about $675 each time we have one. Maybe we don't need any more. Maybe staff could take care of it. Maybe the council would like to, each of us take a turn and sit through one of those meetings and see what happens at them. But I feel like we should leave this meeting coming up with a good number to fulfill their tasks through May. And Justine's given us a starting point of $2,500. And any other meetings is probably $500 on top of that. Certainly they would be at the town hall. So that might be an additional, and we still have a balance of 1,000. So we really, that makes it around 3,500. Reading that right? Correct. So that's at least the town hall would be covered, and maybe one more work group meeting.
And I think that's reasonable. Like I said, I would still push for the cost estimate, but again, I'm just one of 5, and so I understand you guys, if you disagree with me, you're entitled to disagree with me. But I would like people to remember also what I said before was that we're under on the contingency so far, as long as we keep on track and keep a very close eye on FFA costs. But not only that, but the sheer amount that we're going to spend on this, the value, if we see value in it, this is such a extremely small percentage of what our overall budget is going to be. If this work is important to protecting what we have already invested, I would hate to see us cut off our nose to spite our face. We've invested a lot of money in this. If I need to throw in $1,000 or $2,000 out of my own account, I believe that in the long run, I'm gonna get my money back because my insurance costs are gonna be protected. The value of my home is gonna be protected Because there's not gonna be very long in the future that we are gonna be able to be serviced by 1950 size fire trucks. It's just not the future. And this project is going to get more and more expensive every time we put it off. And that's one, but number two is that we are establishing a relationship here with our contractors. And if we aren't careful, if we don't establish a good reputation with our contractors and that, you know, we are communicating with them clearly and they're communicating with us clearly, and that when at the end of a project, everybody leaves on good terms, then that is going to affect the types of contractors we get applying for our RFPs or participating in our RFPs in the future. And it could also affect the costs. So we need to be very careful about what kind of a relationship we want to, or a reputation we want to set up for ourselves as far as how we deal with contractors. So I, again, did not call this meeting to rehash the change order. The change order is done. We don't need to defend why or prove I'm right, you're wrong, or whatever. What we need to do is figure out what we're going to do going forward. What tasks do we want them to do? Do you want to have another meeting with them to establish those tasks? Or do you want us to say, these are the tasks that we think that they need to do? Chad, go talk to them, keep it under an hour and get back to us.
The whole thing is that if caution put contingency on their contract,
Yes, I agree.
okay, the same as FFA did, it'd be $11,600.
Right. Yeah, which is still less than what they're asking. And I would also point out, if you look in their contract, it wasn't a contractor guarantees these services for this amount. It was, these are the this is what you're gonna pay us per hour, and this is what we think our hours are gonna be. They came to a lot more city council meetings than they were intending to. It's just things happen. And again, when we established that RFP with them, we told them, this is what we want you to do for us. And through time, it's been proven that we were, we needed a lot more engagement from them. Gerhard is a community that's very engaged. Our council was very engaged. Counselors kept saying, I don't understand, I don't know, I want to be more of this project. So they were brought in. It is what it is. They're here, and I would hate to see this project, for the investment we've made up till now, not be worth anything over this small amount of money. I would just want us to make good decisions going forward. I don't want to point fingers about what happened in the past. That's pragmatically, let's just realize that happened and it can't happen again. Let's move forward.
Okay, so are you asking to put a number down on paper and
No.
say, this is what we're gonna do without talking to Klaus?
No, what I'm saying is what is it we want done still? What tasks do we want them to perform? And then we tell Chad, go talk to them, find out how much that would cost and come back to us.
Okay, and
Well, is there any reason to think that Justine's numbers aren't good?
Yes,
Justin's numbers are good.
well, no, Justine's numbers are great, but if they're charging $200 per person for an hour, she's estimated one person. I have a feeling that Klosh is going to want, more than one person involved, or could potentially want more than one person involved. There's a lot of, you don't know what you don't know until you know. So I think our safest bet would be to in order for us not to come back and say, well, we underestimated again, is to have Chad, if he's gonna have to come back to us anyway, if our numbers are wrong, just don't give him numbers and have him go talk to them and come back. If it's not reasonable, then we walk away. I think at this point, Klosh knows that they can't balloon up their price. I think that Klosh understands that we're not going to sign a change order that doesn't make sense to us and that doesn't articulate exactly what's gonna happen, and it isn't a firm. I think they will also learn from this. And I think Klosh also wants this project to be successful. The reputation is riding on it. And I think we should keep all of that in mind.
okay, make a motion.
Well, okay, so I make a motion that we we need to establish task.
We're not gonna establish, Lodge is gonna do that, right? Because they have the expertise, this is just the motion for Chad to talk to them and find out what it will cost to go through the end of May.
So to give you.
And to get
Okay.
the
Cost.
appropriate tasks done that Klosh was responsible for.
So I can meet with, and just to clarify again on just what I said about Justine, and her estimations. Justine's information is correct at the top, below are just her estimations.
Mhm.
Right,
Okay.
so there's gonna be some flexibility in that, it's not that you know exactly what that is. What I'm hearing is that I can get, we want to get through the potential of another cost estimation check using Klosh Group. We wanna find out how much that is going to cost. That should get us to the end of May. After the next council, we have a town hall meeting that we would want them to attend. And we would
In
want them to
preparation for the
double-
town hall.
And double check the cost estimations. You are curious about what that's going to take moving forward. Those are really the tasks that are left over for the Klosh Group that are most valuable to us. Is the May town hall and cost estimation checking. Verification. Does that sound right?
I believe so.
Okay, I'll ask them if there's anything else in there that they think that would be important, and I'll report back that to you.
Well, there is that 16th work group. It's already scheduled.
Yeah. I'll get estimations on where we're at, where we're going.
And is that just a check-in? I understand that they've had check-in meetings where it's just, yeah, everything's going well, that's it, but then we get charged for it.
We've had a few of those, yeah.
Okay, well, we don't need a check-in meeting until we get some realization on what's gonna happen with Klosh and where we're going to May.
Well, I have not attended any meetings where we said, hey, is everybody good, and then gone about our day, so
I was just told there was a check-in meeting.
Well, I have not attended any such meeting.
Okay.
Like that. Otherwise,
Neither
other's I
Staff
would
has-
have
staff
gone
has
out,
had
because
those
I understand the importance
Pardon me?
of billing.
The staff has had those check-in meetings with them where they're just making sure we have all the information.
Okay.
that they need. So, okay, we'll be careful moving
All
forward.
right, so you got a motion to have
Well,
Chad check?
let me, let me ask a couple more clarifications. There's also a question of surveying, which surveys or some type of polling or something like that. Is that something that we're still interested in doing? Is that something that FFA would handle? Just so I'm clear on my mind, because we've talked about a lot.
We don't, no, so there's no polling in what FFA has talked about. In regards to the next 3 or 4 months. They didn't, say that they would do any polling in there. They've recommended it in the past, you folks have recommended getting that data as well. Klosh Group doesn't have any polling, so that would be in addition to and above. And Peter, I know he's online right at the moment, he's going to be taking a look into what the costing could be for some sort of poll that we can do after the May meeting. Peter, are you there? He was still having troubles, he was going back and forth with me a little bit.
Well, I know when I talked to Peter, he mentioned that he's already been in contact with someone he's worked with before who's a poller.
So I can get that information out as well, so that we have a cost estimate about what that would be. But we're not quite too sure how we would do it, or what it is that we're polling, or how large this poll would be. But I think a simple poll, getting the community's feedback as to what they know and what they don't know, whether or not they know the importance of this work that we're doing or not.
Okay, and what was your other question, Dana?
That was it, I would like to know how much FFA would charge us, how much Klosh Group would do it, because I do not like the surveys that have come out from the city, and I don't think anybody trusts them. I think that surveys or polling or whatever should come from somebody else.
Well, that's why
Okay.
Peter's looking into
So-
this third party.
Well, but I would like you to just ask the question from Klosh Group, how much and what that would look like.
Okay, so your
Okay.
motion,
So.
I'd like
what?
I'd like to
Sorry.
make a motion that we approve $5,000 as a change order. Let Chad work out the details using Justine's numbers as a starting point. That gives quite a bit of leeway to that. And if they burn through that before the end of May, we'll discuss it again.
I second.
So one clarification, so they still have 3,544 left.
Well, you don't have to spend the 5,000 if
Right.
we don't end up using it, but to give you a cushion.
We haven't written any checks yet for these.
For the 22,
So I think that would be
Well-
in addition to.
So you are okay spending an additional.
oh, okay,
7,500.
I understand what you're saying.
Well, I'm just,
No, I think she's saying 5,000 on top of the
But
budgeted.
there's
amount
also
already.
May, there will also be something in May,
right,
which isn't really on here yet.
no, because we didn't have anything. I mean, even just how much money they have left, so. If you're maxing it out at an additional 5,000. With these assuming they're going to fill. Just clarify.
Right, yes,
Okay.
Okay, motion second, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Those opposed, nay. 3 to 1. Okay, is there anything else we need to discuss now that we've got the Klosh Group and FAFA being interviewed by you, Jack?
No, I've got another document here that just kind of outlines the different phases of this project so that you can understand how that has been moving forward. I forgot to give that to you. But just to clarify, I'm going to work on getting the final number from the Klosh Group, the cost estimation portion of this. We're going to look at the cost of potential controlling. We're going to look at how many meetings we've got left, how much money we're going to spend getting to that point. And any other contingencies that may come up. I'll get that information out of both FFA and Klosh Group and report back to you. It looks like I've got up to $5,000 in addition to the contract amount to at least start moving forward on that. Doesn't mean I'm going to spend it. I'll probably have the answers to these questions before we really get into spending any of that money. So we still have an opportunity, but that gives me and us, the staff, the wiggle room to move forward with some of those conversations. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything else?
Do we need to assign people? Is there no longer going to be council appointment to the work group? Do we need counselors on the work group?
I think
Are we
the
good to go?
work, and I need to verify this with Bosch and FFA, but I think the work group is pretty well finished. We've gotten through 2 town halls. We've gotten through the programming, the basic design. You've had 5 designs to look at. Brought it down to 2. They're working on the cost estimation to 2. So really our goal is to get with as much information as possible through the May town hall meeting and then go from there. So I'm not sure that the work group, which had the 2 counselors on there, is necessary to move forward.
So there's not going to be a meeting?
I think it might be between staff and FFA to make sure that we've got all the information. And potentially Klosh Group, but that's what I need to talk to them about. If they can, but yeah, there's not much more to do. We're on schedule. We're on task. We're just a little bit over budget. So things are working out as they were anticipating to work out, as we were anticipating them to work out. And I think we've got the product, the only thing that we're worried about is what the future is going to bring and how we're going to verify information and make sure that we got the best project to move forward with an election whenever.
They come to you and they say they need the advice of the council right now, then that means we're gonna do a council meeting.
Then we'll figure it out from there. I'll get their feedback on what we just talked about. And then I will get back and report that back to the council. And then if we have to have another meeting or a work group, work session, then I'll work with Christie, we'll come up with some dates, I'll let you know what the cost of that work session would be. And then we can go from there.
I would like a brief set of minutes, perhaps somebody on staff could do just a brief. Bullet points, doesn't have to be like every word said of the April 16th for council or put it in
Okay.
our packets, but
Ms. Christie, did you hear that? I'm gonna need your assistance with that during the next meeting.
Yes, if Clash attends, it is their responsibility to do agendas and minutes, so.
Yeah, we just wanna make sure it happens.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, I don't need a set of minutes that cost $200,
Yeah.
10 minutes. Take notes right in the meeting.
We'll do that moving forward with everything, whether it be Clash Group doing it or us, so that you're informed on what's happening moving forward, because I think we're at a point now where we have a better understanding of what the tasks are that we need to complete for this. I think we have a better understanding of the collaboration between Clash and FFA and what it is that we really wanted them to do and what was in their proposals. And with that better understanding, we can move forward and make some good decisions. And try to get the public involved and informed.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Second, please.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Council.